So I want to take you guys back to some of the basics. We're just going to be solving a linear equation here. And what I like to do for problems like these, and we're at the entry stages of math for students that are just beginning algebra, or taking algebra for, several times in a row. What I like to do is I like to draw my cities. And I got this from a student. She was from New Orleans. And she said, hey, one thing I noticed out here in LA is like that light is a new city. And I was like, I never noticed that before. But we started saying, let me erase that. We started saying LA and Inglewood. Okay. We started saying LA and Inglewood when I was teaching some of these entry-level Algebra 1 classes. And then what I started doing is I would write the color of the like terms so kids could know what I was saying. And I'm going to use that as red. And we got 2D and we got 5D. And I was asked the students, hey, are the like terms on the same side? And they said, well, what are the like terms? I said, well, if it has a variable or not has a variable. Right now, I wrote the like terms in the same color. They would be obviously not on the same side. So what would have to happen to get them on the same side? And we would have to use IO. That's inverse operations. And we had a long lesson about how inverse is the opposite. Use IO. Okay. And so if there was a positive 2D, we would want a negative 2D. And then I would have a lesson about my son and daughter. And what I do for one son, I have to do for the other child too. So I can't just arbitrarily subtract 2D. If I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side also. Okay. Now 2D minus 2D, those are going to cancel. Okay. Now, if I want the D's on this side, then I want the other ones on the other side. And I used to tell the joke, because if the blue and the red is on the same party, they shooting that thing up. So if I move that one over there, I actually want to move this 10 to the other side. So that 10, I want them over there. Positive 10, I use a negative 10. What I do to one side, I got to do to both sides. Those are going to cancel. What I'm left with now is a negative 6. Okay. Because positive 4 minus 10, you owe me $6. And on the other side, 5 apples minus 2 apples is 3 apples. I had a lesson on that. Okay. So now that the inverse operations, this is saying 3 times some number equals 6, equals negative 6. Now you may have already guessed that number. For starters, I would still tell kids use inverse operations, because the multiplication, the coefficient means multiplication. Divide that. Can you divide it by one side? No, you got to do it to both. And so you have D is equal to negative 6 divided by 3. You might have already guessed it a while ago. This answer is negative 2. And this is a starter lesson for some of my Algebra 1 students, and my students are still struggling with those algebra topics. So go ahead and hopefully this helps you. And even if you're a parent and you watch my videos and you feel like, man, I wish he was my teacher, that's okay too. Let's check that answer. That's